All right, here's the intro. Let's go. All right, here's another episode of MTV's Forgotten Shows, which is a series that I do where I review MTV shows that people may have not heard from or about in years now, because MTV has kind of scrubbed it from their existence. They don't acknowledge it on their websites. They don't acknowledge it anywhere. You get what I'm saying. I review shows. I review shows. This guy. Yeah. Sometimes I do it well. Anyways, here you go. I hate this so much. Anyways, in 2012, MTV decided to change the style of your typical American comedy / drama by deciding that it's not going to be about high school kids. It's not going to be about college kids partying, you know? Usually your American comedy drama show involves high school kids coming of age, learning lessons about, their bodies, their environment, whatever, and learning lessons that'll mature them. Or you have a show that's centered around college kids figuring out that life is not just about partying. They also have responsibilities that they have to tackle and things like that. MTV decided to be different and create a show that was about what happens after college, and that was really interesting. Like, it was really cool. For me, it was one of the first shows that I'd seen that really tackled that particular subject, and luckily it came out around the time a time where I would be in that same kind of boat, in that same kind of mindset of what do I do after this? What do we do after this? And this came out with a generation that kind of had the same thought process on all this. It was just kind of the world is happening and we have to figure out what to do about it. So what the they created a television show called Underemployed. The show ran from October 16th, 2012 to January 12th of 2013. It only got one season, which had 12 episodes. Luckily, the season ended in a way where you could say this is the end of the show and just leave it at that. But if they ever wanted to bring it back later, they could. The series revolves around a group of 5 college graduates who met and became close friends during college. Their friend group is very, very close knit, and they all had branching paths that they were going to go on. So it starts off with them literally saying that their group is just like everyone else, surprisingly, so that they can really cement the fact that you too could end up in this situation with these friends who are all different but close, who are all going to different places but still trying to stay as close as possible in the real world, doing whatever, right? So each of them had big dreams on what they were going to do. You had Lou, who wanted to graduate and become an environmental lawyer because he was very, very passionate about saving the world from itself and just saving the environment from what humans have done to them in the first place. Lou was dating Reviva, and Lou and Reviva decided that they were going to break up at the end of college, and that Reviva was going to move to Los Angeles to become the music star, become a singer. She wanted to get involved in the music industry. You had Miles, who wanted to become a model because he was he's the himbo friend. But yeah, he had dreams of becoming a model, and so he decided to live in the same area as Lou, and also try to become a Calvin Klein model, which is interesting. You had Sophia, who had dreams of becoming a writer. She was going to try and write a novel that was, going to revolutionize the world in some sort of way. And then you had Daphne, who just wanted to be successful in business, and she went down that path. But unfortunately for them, things didn't really work out the way that they expected. There are all kinds of curves. There are all kinds of issues that came up and made things difficult for them. But the show demonstrates how in these situations people will find a way. I mean, if you have a close-knit group of friends, you can rely on them to help you out a little bit when you don't know where you're going or what to do, or how to achieve your dreams, or how to pivot so that you may need to put your dreams on hold while maintaining a stable life. The center of the story in this show is Lou and Reviva's relationship, mainly because Lou doesn't speak to Reviva for months, I believe. It's about a year after they graduated, and Reviva shows up and she's pregnant. She's 8 months pregnant, I believe, and basically tells him, "Oh, this is yours. Hi." So they decide that they're gonna get back together and figure out how to raise a child, and the group as a whole decides that they're gonna support Lou and Reviva as much as possible, regardless of their situations. Now, Lou lives with Miles. They're trying to figure out their lives. Lou is trying to he's still trying to become an environmental lawyer, but because of this situation, he realized that he's gonna have to kind of swallow his pride and get a corporate job. Lucky for him, he's a bit of a nepo baby. So his dad works for big business company that basically poisons the world with whatever the hell they do, and he has to swallow his pride and decide that he's gonna work for said company. Unfortunately, the show doesn't really focus on this dynamic for longer than the first 2 episodes, I believe, 2 or 3 episodes. But Lou and his dad go back and forth a lot because he doesn't really respect what his dad does, and his dad is trying to get him to learn the lesson of he's not concerned about the world or saving the world or anything like that. He's doing this because that's the job that's going to make him the money to be able to sustain his life, raise his family, etc. And Lou will have to figure that out himself, and he's going to, because he's becoming a father himself. Reviva still has dreams about being a musician, but she has to put that on hold in order to be a mom. In this case, she's a stay-at-home mom for most of the series. But yeah, Miles still tries to be a model. He has this strange girlfriend person who's a foreign model who allegedly doesn't speak English, but for some reason in a lot of the very early episodes of the show, it seems like she does understand English and she's just not telling them. For the rest of the group, Sophia is still trying to be a writer, but she works at a donut shop, realistic. Daphne is the only one that seems that she's really propelling her life towards what her goal is, which is in general to be successful. So she works for a marketing firm. She's I believe an intern when the show starts. She's an intern for a marketing firm, and that works out pretty well. She's the character in the show that they focus on when they want to show that it is possible to achieve said dreams after college or as a young adult. It just takes a lot of work and a lot of maneuvering. I'll talk more about this later, but for some reason they don't like her in the writing of this show. It's very weird. Her goals are some of the more stable, I guess, or like realistic out of the everyone else in the group, of like, this is a concrete thing that can become a concrete career that can make enough money to sustain your life. And it shows in the way, like, her lifestyle and whatnot. Like, she is probably the only one out of the entire group that doesn't really show that she's like struggling financially in any sort of way. Yeah, later on they just kind of I'll get to it when I like focus on the characters. But yeah, I really enjoyed this show. I think now a show like this could exist, but the formula that's thrown into the show has been copied in many other ways and made more interesting than this. So if you're someone that's interested in like one of MTV's last like comedy / drama like series that they like focused on, this would be a good watch. But you have to take it with a grain of salt and realize that like a lot of things may seem familiar, or it may seem like repetitive, just because this was during an era where a lot of shows weren't focusing on these topics, but now they have. Now you have shows that are about college graduates or like young adults. You know, you have your How I Met Your Mothers or How I Met Your Fathers, or you know, whatever they're about, like people who definitely aren't in college anymore, but they like, it hasn't been too long since they've been in college and they're figuring out how to like live their lives. I guess Friends loosely is in the same ballpark, but it's assumed that their demographic, like that the group in Friends are like a little bit older than this. If you're wondering whether or not you should check out the show, you should. Like, it's a good show. If you can find it, you should check it out. It's on Apple TV, it's on Amazon Prime, it's on Vudu, all of that for purchase, unfortunately. Only for purchase. When it comes to these like forgotten MTV shows, they are hard to find on a streaming service just to like stream without having to buy like a whole season or buy individual episodes. Like even with Sweet Vicious, I had to buy the entire season, just because one, I wanted to own it, and two, like it's not available on any streaming services. It's on Amazon Prime for you to buy the episodes and then watch it on their service, and it's also on Apple, not Apple TV, but like it's on iTunes for you to buy. Remember iTunes? Remember when you can like buy and watch things on iTunes? Guess what else is on iTunes? Guess what episode of a show that's also MTV related is on iTunes that I got for free? Happy Land. Yeah, that show, you'll see how I feel about that one too. From this point on, I'm just going to talk about the characters. I'm going to talk about the series as a whole. I'm going to kind of do, I guess, a more of like a retrospective on this, because it's hard to talk about this without talking about specific things that happen in the show, because the general plot is kind of like not it's not like super impressive, the way that they handle like certain characters, like interactions with each other and like their their relationships, their lifestyles, their life choices. Those things are interesting, but like the general plot of like these college kids are just figuring it out, or these like college graduates are all figuring it out and most of them suck at it. That's kind of like on the lower end. And it seemed like they were going to kind of change it up a little bit with the second season, but we never got it, unfortunately. But everything from here on out is going to be a spoiler. So everything from here on out is going to be about the characters, and it's going to be spoilers about them. So yeah. I just wrote down a lot of like random things that happened in random episodes, because there's just so many things, so many like odd things. But let's talk about the characters. I want to start off with Lou, because he's like considered to be the main character of the series. He is kind of like the everyman character, except he's got like very interesting he's got like interesting like leftist ideals. Like his ideologies would be considered more of the like liberal or maybe a little bit centrist type of ideas, with like a big push on the environment. But every once in a while he'll like throw out a little like spiel here and there that's like very like anti-capitalist, that's very interesting and very progressive for like an MTV show that came out in like the early 2010s, you know?
You guys, I mean, I spend most of my days changing diapers and being bored out of my gourd, and suddenly I'm the luckiest person in this room.
Well, that's because you're the closest to nature.
Cue the whales.
It's true. It's true. It's true. You and Rosemary have an actual relationship. We're all just interchangeable cogs trading the time of our lives for cash in a system that's doomed to implode.
Suicide-inducing speech. Chuck.
5 miles.
Water?
No, I can't.
Dude, take it while you still can. We're gonna see the end of drinking water in our lifetime.
Lou in the show is pushed to be a character who constantly preaches to everyone about like the importance of like, you know, keeping the environment safe, and why, you know, big business is like ruining the country, the planet, etc. And you don't see it as much. You just see a lot of interactions where he starts on these rants, and people just kind of say, "Okay, we you know, we heard you. We know you always do this." There are a few episodes that have like flashbacks where they're in college, and he does say a little bit of these things, but even then, they don't. They try to play it very safe. For the most part, he is very, very keen on the idea that you can take down all of these like corporations who don't care about the environment. They just care about poisoning the environment, and they care about, you know, just making money off of everything bad that's going on in the world, etc., etc. And he's very, very like strongly opinionated on that, but that gets thrown out the window very fast in the show, because as soon as it's like presented that he is about to have a kid, he immediately realizes that he has to kind of give up on what he considers to be his dreams, just so that he can support his family. And it does show that he does have like a very strong love for Raviva, but he's mainly doing this for his kid because I believe his parents split up at a young age for him, and he spent a lot of time with his mom because he butts heads with his dad, who's a corporate businessman. So even though him and his dad don't see eye to eye, he gets a job from his dad to work at, you know, a big corporation that does, I don't know, something. Like, it doesn't really they don't harp too much on what that corporation does. He is one of the many characters in the show that kind of like provide this idea that when you get older, you have to give up your dreams in order to live a stable life. I think that was like the idea that the show was trying to push into the foreground in the first place, at least in the first couple of episodes. But by the end of the season, the end of the first season, it seems like everyone just kind of like comes around to this idea that maybe you don't have to give up all of your dreams. You just have to give up some aspects of them and approach them again later. Because the only spoiler I'll say for this character, well, okay, two things. One, at the very beginning, he gives up his dream of becoming an environmental lawyer because like he wouldn't be able to like afford being in school and then also like having you know, a baby to support. So he focuses on work. towards the end of the season, it does show that he's willing to go to graduate school. All that I find is like in descriptions and whatnot, it says that he wants to be an environmental lawyer. But he goes to school, he has an interview with a guy who's just like, oddly enough, it's just like, hey, yeah, you know, we looked through your transcript and everything about you seems like really awesome. We actually really want you here in our program. And he's like, oh, awesome, cool. And then he's just kind of like, oh, but I found out you have a baby. You have a baby and a job. Are you gonna have time for any of this stuff? We really need someone who's gonna be here full time. And he's like, I mean, I can figure it out. I can do it. And it's like, I don't think that's good enough for us. Which, what? Huh? Is that a thing? Are there college programs that just say, hey, you have a job? No. You can't do that. You can't have a job and dedicate yourself to us. You need to spend 24 hours in our program. You need to spend as much time as possible in our program doing our shit. Like, is that real? I like 100% felt like that wasn't real, but that was like an obstacle that was presented in the show, which he just overcame by saying, nah, I'm just gonna like do both. But yeah, Lou's story revolves around Reviva and his relationship with her, which is very odd. Like, those two, they meet in college. The story is that they meet in college. They had a great relationship in college, but then because she wanted to move away, they just break up. So rather than staying on Lou, the second thing is going to be in Reviva's story, because it's very important. It's very important to her character story as well. Reviva is a character in the show who seems like the like dreamer. She was like a free-spirited type of person who was all about her music and making sure that everyone's happy and making sure the world is a great place, you know, that kind of thing. She kind of like fed off of Lou's energy of like, let's save the world. And they both had that kind of like idealistic mentality about like their lives. They just kind of like went for whatever it is. There's some like things in the show that kind of like imply that both of them may have had like some very privileged upbringings that like promoted these mentalities that they had. But again, the show doesn't really focus much on everyone's parents or like how they're brought up and stuff. It, like, everyone's parents show up in like maybe 1.5 episodes in total, except for Miles. I think he's the only one who doesn't even have a parent that shows up in the show, because that shit is not important apparently. She was gonna move off to Los Angeles. I believe everyone in the show lives in New York, so they broke it off, and it was like a very like amicable sort of thing where they like understood that long distance was not really going to work out too well, and it was better if they just went after their dreams, and then if something happens later, it does. But they never like talk about things happening later. They just say like, you know, great, awesome, hoping the best for you. But they have like, what do you call this, like goodbye sex, I guess, or something. They hook up at the very end of their relationship, and then Reviva leaves. She's gone for like 8 months. Yeah, she's gone for like 8 months and then comes back where the show begins, and she's pregnant. It's one of those things where like she shows up and it's just kind of like, oh hey, what are we gonna do about this? She's very, very like upset that they didn't really keep in touch. So she, like, I think one of the first things she says is like, hey, why did you stop emailing me when I said you why did you stop emailing me when I said you could stop emailing me after we broke up? She like says, hey, we don't have to keep in touch anymore. So Lou was like, all right. And she's like, why did you do that? In the beginning of the show, she's very like all over the place with saying what she wants and it actually being the opposite of that. You know, she says, hey, I want this from you, Lou, or like this from like, you know, random other character. And then what she means is, don't listen to me. But she's like a very headstrong character in the show, so it's like interesting and important for the group because she's the one who kind of like tells everyone how it is, and it's like, hey, you guys are being weird, like we need to fix this, whatever. Her and Lou decide to get back together, and their relationship is, first he's trying to make accommodations for her to move into his apartment so that they could have the baby. Meanwhile, Miles is there too, and Miles is like, he's like a young, super attractive dude who lives in New York, and so he's kind of getting it in like every night. And that becomes the thing. They figure it out very soon. The show doesn't take place only in the time that Reviva is pregnant. They kind of get that out of the way really fast. Like Reviva has her baby in maybe the third episode, and then everything else is about everyone living their lives and helping Lou and Reviva raise a child, which is nice. Most of their relationship consists of her being at home with the kid while he's at work, and so they explore this storyline of Reviva is always at home with the kid, and so because she doesn't really have the time to work on her music or her dreams because she's taking care of this kid, she's a mixture of bored and sad, or broken, because she's trying to hang on to these dreams that she has to put on pause. And so it turns into this thing where she just kind of wants to have some sort of attention while she's spending all this time at home, and she starts going to a coffee shop, and she meets a dude. They form a bond, and said dude sees woman with baby and is not immediately like, hey, are you spoken for? He instead just assumes she's a single mom who he has a chance with or whatever, right? So that causes tension. But because that causes tension, Reviva puts some pressure on Lou. Lou puts pressure on himself, and then he starts being really, really dumb. And that is the second thing in Lou's story. Lou cheats on Reviva because they introduce super hot lady who is the assistant to his dad, who just stopped showing up in the show at this point in time. His dad is spoken about and is not around, to a point where Lou and the assistant hook up in his dad's office because his dad is just not there at work. I don't know, it's very weird. It's very weird that this character, who clearly is the boss, clearly is the I don't know, the head honcho of this place that they both work at, is spoken about but is never seen. Lou and Reviva both form relationships with other people. They both have these feelings that maybe they're not understanding each other, they can't communicate with each other, they're putting all this pressure on each other and whatnot, and it becomes kind of a stay together for the kids sort of situation, where most of the pressure is coming from them having this baby and them feeling like they need to make it work because they have this baby. It's not a matter of love or whatever. And so it introduces this really interesting dynamic of if the baby wasn't there, would they have rekindled their relationship, or would they have stayed together or whatever? And it helps them discover themselves and what they want, both. But Lou fucks up. Lou is stupid. Reviva never crosses a line, even though she is emotionally connected to this other dude and brings him around and stuff. She never does anything wrong. Lou kind of does the same thing with this woman at his job, but then he does cross the line because this woman just straight up is like,
Hey.
Hey. Did you get my email?
The one about how you kissed me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you get mine?
No.
You know why?
Why?
I didn't send one. You were drunk. We kissed. It happens. Not much more to say.
I know, but I...
But you have a baby. And you live with your girlfriend.
Yeah.
I knew all that. I know all that. And I assume I will know all that tomorrow. You have nothing to apologize for.
I just wanted to be clear.
Louis, I am a super pragmatic type of person. I don't let anyone get in the way of where I'm headed, and I don't mess with other people's journeys either. It is a free goldfish bowl. So, if you ever want to kiss me or touch me, or pretty much whatever me again, and I don't tell you to stop, you don't need to apologize. You just need to keep on going. And I will never show up at your door. How's that for clear?
That'll do.
Great. Goodbye, Louis.
Hey, how's the family?
Oh, God. Oh, gee.
As far as Reviva goes, there's like another like somewhat tiny plot point towards the end of the season about her music, where said dude that she meets hooks her up with like a gig at a bar that she starts working at too, and she plays her music there. Some people like it. An actual exec gets a hold of her information, and he's like, oh hey, yeah, I really like your songs. And then he like brings her over to the studio, and surprise, he's the fucking leech. He's a piece of shit. He's like, hey, yeah, you thought that this was gonna be about you having your music bought by us? No. We're gonna take your song and we're gonna give it to this other girl that we like or whatever, who, I don't know, she's not as good at writing music or songs or whatever, and then we're just gonna take all the credit ourselves, and you're just gonna kind of like deal with that. The guy that they got to play the like, you know, music exec dude or whatever, I don't know if the actor was told to like act this way, or if he just straight up didn't want to be there, but he really like fed his lines like he did not want to be in the room at all. Just kind of like,
so gonna get you to anything? Water, coffee, mashed peas?
Yeah, I bring her with me almost everywhere I go. I hope that's okay.
I've been working with bands for 20 years, so I'm used to vomit and crap and crying. Just let me know if you're gonna feed it in front of me.
Got it.
So I like that song, the last one you sang the other night.
Message.
Yeah. There's this artist, Pixie Dexter, that I've been working with, and I think that your song would be great for her.
For her?
Yeah.
See, my thought was I would sing it.
Nope. You wanna make a call? Have your limo come around and pick you up?
No, I
You know, there are a lot of great singers that got their start as songwriters writing songs for other people. It's not crazy.
I hear that.
So my thought was, let's get you in the studio with Pixie, play around with it, see if it's a good fit.
So you want to record my song
Potentially.
with this Dixie chick, whatever, singing it?
Pixie. Yeah. That's the plan.
well, that's just how it goes. Big business, baby. Yeah. But anywho, we gotta, you know, keep it going. More characters. I think the next character to talk about is Sophia. Sophia is an interesting character in the show because, one, she's a writer who doesn't really know what to write about for some reason. She hasn't really gotten that inspiration on like what to write about for her big novel that she wants. She has a job, but it's soul crushing sort of, and she's also figuring out her sexuality. Like at the beginning of the show, they kind of like mention a lot that like that she's a virgin, and that they just make virgin jokes a bunch of times, so like whatever. Sophia finds out that she's gay, sleeps with a woman. There's like one episode. Luckily, it's only one episode where they just kind of explore. She's like, oh, well, maybe I like dudes too. And she tries to like sleep with a dude, and it just gets very like weird. It's also early 2010s, so like, you know, there's a slight bit of like, you know, weird homophobic jokes kind of, or like weird like ignorance towards like lesbians. Sophia actually is a pretty interesting representation of a gay character in like a show like this, because she for a decent bit of time is defined by that, but then doesn't fit any of the usual tropes of like, oh, she's like the nicest person and has all these nice loving relationships with people and blah 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 whatever. No, she's terrible. she becomes like off. She becomes a monster in like the weirdest way possible, where like she ends up in a relationship with somebody. This person somehow, some way is willing to like just fund her life. Like bought her a phone, fund her life entirely. And so she sees that like some of her friends kind of like mentioned that might be a little bit controlling, and she starts to see it that way, and she kind of gets turned off to that relationship, which the episode that focuses on that storyline is very good, because it does introduce this idea of like, what if someone could be trying to like control you with all of these little things of like, hey, I paid for your rent, or hey, I bought you a phone, hey, you can just stay at my place, you know, for a while, or hey, if you're looking for a place because you can't afford your apartment, you can stay at my place for X amount of time or whatever, you know. And then how that could turn into like a big thing of like, well, I bought you this, so like, why are you acting this way? Sophia responds to it by cheating. Cheating with a random girl. And unfortunately, like, that turns into an awful thing in her like worst moment in the show, which is that she writes a book about her friends. And tries to like change names, but it's like very obvious who's who. She chooses one particular friend to just kind of like tear apart in this book that's like somehow published and publicly read at an event, and it was like extremely uncalled for. And even the show was just like points out that this was uncalled for, because the friend is going through like a very hard time when this book comes out, and she, it is Daphne, and she just like kind of points out, she's just like, why me? And then like for the rest of the show, it's just like, literally why her? Because they just keep like jabbing her with more like tragic events. And during this moment, she also reconnects with girl that she cheated on her ex with, and that girl likes her, like legitimately likes her, and they like hook up again. And said girl shows up to her like book event thing or whatever, and she just kind of shits on her. Like, to be honest, she was just this girl is showing like a genuine interest in her, and she's like, oh yeah, I'm not, I don't want that, even though it's very clear that they like each other. She's just like, I don't know, she just wants to like play the field instead of be tied down to someone. They don't really go into specifics on why they're just like hints that maybe she just wants to like explore her sexuality for a little bit longer, because it's all like new to her. But and even that kind of shit is not really said, so like it's confusing, very, very confusing. But Sophia's arc ends with her crushing one of her best friends, and then having to figure out how to like redeem herself after crushing one of her best friends, and then also like upsetting some of her other friends with like her weird honesty, where like she doesn't tell them any of these things that she writes in this book, any of these like feelings that she has about them that she writes in this book. She just writes it in the book, and then and lets the world find out how she feels about them, like her brutal honesty about them, their life choices, whatever. And it's strange. Her story is very like interconnected with Daphne's, because they're very close friends, but also because she just chooses Daphne to be the person that she like shits on. And it's, I don't know, it's weird. It's weird. She also has like a very interesting like relationship with Lou and Miles that I like seeing. Miles, because he's the one that she decides to go to when she wants to experiment with dudes to see if, I don't know, the being gay is is a thing for her, or if she's just bi. I think it was mostly because like Miles was like pushing this idea like, oh, but you know, like I'm sure you still like dudes. And it's like, okay, Miles. Okay, Miles is the himbo. That is the most important thing to understand about this dude. He gets sexualized a lot, especially early on in the series. He is a male stripper early on, and then they just kind of like get that out because he gets a job with Daphne. Like her marketing company wants like the like himbo to promote this like alcohol or whatever, and he becomes that dude, even though she for some reason doesn't want her friends to be involved with their job because I guess she knows that they're like fucking annoying sometimes. Yeah, he like really wanted to be a Calvin Klein model, and there was like a point in the series where like he meets like a woman that could hook him up with Calvin Klein, and I don't know, that kind of like didn't go anywhere for some reason. He just becomes a model anyways. Miles' story is mostly about him and the way he treats women.
No, they make you wait around all day. What if I get an audition?
God, that's the one thing I miss about college. Student health services.
Dude, wait. What about Megan?
At student health services?
Yes.
A, we're not in college anymore, and B, didn't you like hook up with her and never call her back?
Doesn't matter, fool.
Why?
The power of hooking up with me is a light so bright that it makes everything else fade away.
It's quite a gift.
I'll race it.
Okay, his major arc in the series is that he one, he sucks. Like his brain is mostly on like, you know, women, sleeping with women, whatever, and then just kind of like, you know, living life the way he wants to, having fun, you know, broing out, whatever. But his main arc in the show is that like he gets very close to Daphne, and him and Daphne kind of like, I don't know, they're like in love with each other or something. And Daphne's relationships in the show are very, very like weird and complicated, and some of them are problematic. Oh, also, I can't believe I forgot to say this. In Sophia's story, she gets disowned by her like super Christian parents because there's like a whole thing of they come to visit her. Miles is at her home trying to get rid of like some of her sex toys, so that they don't see those, and then he just tells them that they're getting married or whatever, or that they're like a boyfriend and girlfriend, and then that they're getting married. So then she comes out to her parents, and their thought process, their like whole thing is, oh well, this is just a phase. So like, you know, I know that, you know, in college you kids like to experiment or whatever, and she's like, nah, I'm gay. And they're just like, until you stop this whole gay nonsense, we're just gonna cut you off. And that shit was weird because, like, you know, her parents were like people that all the friends knew her parents. They all like hang out with her parents, like whenever they visit, her parents like take them all out to this restaurant. They have like a nice, you know, go of it and whatnot, and like on the surface they seemed like nice and reasonable people. But then they slowly creep in the fact that they're like very, very Christian people. So despite them being quote unquote nice and reasonable human beings, as soon as they hear that their daughter is gay, they're just like, well, that's against Jesus, so you gotta stop doing that, and we don't accept this lifestyle of yours or whatever. And it was like, okay, well, what can you do, right? They never really resolved the whole thing with her parents. They cut off Sophia, and they just kind of disappear from the series. Maybe the second season would have reopened that storyline, but we never go back to it. So Miles is like, you know, Sophia's bro. They had like kind of like a brother sister kind of like relationship, or like a bro down type of relationship, because Sophia, you know, after a certain point in time, she just becomes one of the boys. Like they all go to a strip club, for example, which, you know, that sort of thing. But Miles, yeah, his main storyline is being this model, and then his growing relationship with Daphne. Daphne, do I even have to like finish out? No, yeah, let's just go into Daphne. Daphne lives with her dad at the beginning of the series, who I think it was like implied that he had some sort of issues, maybe, or something. But her and her dad were very close, and then she decided that she needed to move out, you know, be the big girl or whatever, because she gets a promotion at her job. She's an intern at first. Her boss, okay, there was a storyline. One of her most of the like very like interesting storylines are around Daphne. So I would say that Daphne's like secretly the real main character of the show. Her boss gets very like predatory with her. Like he like invites her to like a romantic lunch the moment that she like tries to ask for payment for working there, because she's been like an unpaid intern for X amount of time. And then they go out to this lunch, which was supposed to be to discuss the actual, like, her payment or whatever, like her actually getting paid or, you know, getting promoted or whatever. And instead, he seduces her and they have sex in a car. And then the next day he's like, oh, well, I can't pay you. After that, she leverages that, you know, she'll quit if he doesn't pay her. And so he all of a sudden finds out that he can pay her $750 a week, which, nice. The payment, the money, the number, not the situation. The situation is very bad and terrible. Like if you're a businessman, don't try to have sex with your interns and then tell them you can't pay them. After Daphne starts getting paid, she decides to get an apartment with Miles because, you know, they're good friends and it's supposed to be like a very platonic thing. But living together, he's a very attractive man, she's a very attractive girl. They, you know, both are attracted to each other. There's like some implications later on in the series that maybe they had like flirted in the past, like in college and shit, but like never shown, never really explained. But they have like a very strong connection while she is dating the boss that the boss that she had sex with ends up becoming like a boyfriend, which, okay. Her main storyline is the love triangle between her boss man and Miles. And, you know, this guy who's her boss, he's not really like, he's not like the head of the company that they work at or whatever. The head of the company is a woman who tries to teach Daphne lessons by being mean to her. You know, there's an episode where Daphne shows up and asks for a raise and it's like,
Deb,
Yeah.
this is weird.
You standing half in and half out of my office is weird. Get in here. Whenever you're ready.
Well, the idea that Todd pitched to you earlier today, the one you liked, marketing Madura to women. Mm-hmm. That was my idea.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, it was. It was my idea.
No, it was my idea. Just like every idea that anybody gets in this office is my idea. You want to set a meeting, order sushi, change your tampon? They're all my ideas. Okay? The only one that's not my idea is the stupid one that you had to walk into my office and act like a preschooler asking for a gold star. Oh my God, are you crying?
No.
Get out. Now.
mind you, I think this is the same episode where she like she printed off her she printed off her breakup letter with said boss man on company paper on the company printer. Yeah. She constantly demands to be taken seriously, and her boss is like, if you want to be taken seriously, you have to act serious and not act like, you know, a child, which was a lesson in and of itself. Yeah, that's good. But she says it in ways of like,
Sit down.
This is something that I do. I wasn't touched as a child, so
Sit down.
sorry.
I don't care what you and Todd do outside this office,
Okay.
but you need to think long and hard about what you want.
What do you mean?
I mean, do you want a career that other women respect or not? If you go any further down this road with Todd, it may not break any rules in HR per se, but everyone is gonna know what's going on. Okay, and not one of the little bitches in this office are gonna take you seriously. I know you think that the men are the ones in charge, but they are not the ones who will stop you. Okay? They will let you slut your way up to the top. It's the women. They will stop you.
I feel so stupid.
Good. Be grateful that you learned this now. Well, you have almost nothing to lose financially.
Thanks for.
We're done here.
Oh,
Get out of my office.
okay. Bye.
Don't ever touch me again.
she's like, well, I hope she got the lesson. They become closer later, and the boss gets like a little bit nicer to her, but yeah. The other main thing about Daphne's story that needs to be mentioned is that Miles knows that she's in a relationship, and he is he is always having these moments with her, which are like, okay, they have like moments where it's like, oh, there's, you know, tension between them and whatnot, and then he does nothing, and then there's like a point where he just decides he's gonna go for it, and she rejects him because she's like, I have a boyfriend and you know that, and he's just like, fuck it, well, like I you know, I don't care, you know, I want you, and like still like tries to like take advantage of her emotional state, because at the time she was like very, very upset about like things going on in her life, and like he like kisses her, and then like they like make out, or I think they have sex, and like she cries like, holy shit.
I know.
I don't do this kind of thing. I can't.
No. No more talk. Please. I love you.
Yeah, it's like all around a shitty situation, and then she breaks up with her boyfriend for Miles, who says, yeah, now we should just go to Italy and like spend a summer out there together or whatever, like fuck our jobs and our lives and all that other stuff. So she tries to quit her job. Her boss is like,
What the hell is this?
A letter of resignation.
Why are you giving it to me?
Because I'm quitting.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am.
No, you're not. Miles quit, which is fine. I will find another vapid man slut to hawk that swill, but you are not quitting this job.
Yes, I am. It says so right here.
Are you quitting because Keith didn't jump up and lick your face like a puppy when you pitched him the Japan of it all?
No.
Then why are you quitting?
I thought that if I...
You know what? Don't tell me. I don't care.
Okay.
What do you think you're gonna do in this dead-ass job market?
Well,
You know what? Don't tell me.
Okay.
You are making a very big mistake quitting this job, Daphne. Do you know why? Because you have potential. You could do so well in this business, and I was prepared to help you do that. But I guess I'm not gonna play the role of mentor or partner or friend. I'm just gonna be someone who teaches you a lesson you'll never forget, which is this. Work is not a game. You're not in college anymore. Grow up. You want your job back yet?
A little.
Good. Because you can't have it. You quit. Live with it. Get out.
Yeah, then she like leaves her boyfriend, you know, all this to go on this trip with this dude, and then like realizes that she doesn't want to do that. Her character arc in the whole show is that she gets like pushed into a lot of situations where she just does things that she doesn't want to do because she doesn't want to like upset people or like say no or whatever. And that's what like I think that's part of what Sophia tries to like say about her, but she says it in like the worst way possible, in the meanest way possible, to like a bunch of fucking like strangers in a book instead of like talking to her friend about it. You know, obviously, mind you, all this shit happens around the same time that she finds out that her brother, who's in the military overseas in like Iraq or something, died. Like he's dead. He's off-screen character who you've only seen in like maybe like the like FaceTime call or whatever, dies, and so there has to be like a funeral and all that stuff. And it's like at that point in the show, it was just like, why are they just shitting on this character for existing? Because she's dealing with the most stress out of everybody, but she was also the most like stable out of all of them. They're all like chasing dreams and trying to figure out how to like be adults, and she's the closest to that because she has a stable job. She has a stable income from said job. She has a dream to go after a career that is like stable and that will make her like a good amount of money, blah blah blah, whatever. Yeah, she has all of that, and she gets shit on the most, and it's really weird. I don't know, it's just really weird. I never like found anything in the show that really like explains what was the point of all of this, but like she has the worst time out of all the characters, but by the end of it she finds herself, and isn't that most important? But yeah, I don't know, the show is really good. It's worth watching. There's a lot of stuff that I left out because like because you should just watch it. Yeah, I don't know, let me know what you think.